Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia Buffalo Bills pregame report. Bills take on the Jets today in a big game for us. I'm Mike Thornton. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Mike. Really excited. We got a little bit longer to wait today, 4:25 kickoff, and it's going to be interesting to see what the weather does here.
Yeah, initially it was I think it was scheduled for the early game, right? And they pushed it for
Yep,
some strange reason,
that's right.
which we're not really sure why, or at least I'm not. You think it was because they wanted a key game in every time slot?
Pretty much, yeah. I think they wanted to split it up with the AFC East matchups. The Patriots are playing the Dolphins, Bills are playing the Jets, so they're gonna, they want to have two separate time frames for those games.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Before we get into our show today, if you haven't already and you're new to the channel, please drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Give us a like, give us a share. Before we get much further here, want to bring in my little boy over here, Jonah Thornton, and this is kind of a exclusive preview to something that Nickel City Mafia might be bringing you next year. A new show added to our network, and it would be Kids Talking Football. We're still looking for the name of the show, what it would be, but you never know when you get two 10-year-olds together and they're talking football, what they're going to say. So we're going to give you a little sneak preview here because I'm going to ask Jonah. Come on up here, Jonah. I'm going to ask Jonah what he thinks, what he can tell us about the game today. Go ahead, Jonah.
So, I think you need to watch out for Zach Wilson and Jamison Crowder because Zach Wilson, he can roll out the pocket really quickly, get away quick. So, and also you need to look out for Jamison Crowder. He would definitely be a great opponent for the matchup. So you have to maybe the Bills defense have to maybe step up this time, actually try, because every NFL team is a threat in the NFL.
What did you say?
That's right.
Any team is a threat in the NFL. We learned that with who did we lose to?
You lost to Jacksonville.
We lost to
Man.
Jacksonville. Right.
Oh,
So Jonah, there you go. Jonah making his debut this week. What do you got left to say, buddy?
I say my score prediction is 2017 Bills.
2017
Nice.
Bills is his
All right.
prediction. All right, thanks, buddy. Anything else to say?
Good luck, Bills Mafia, on your Jets game.
All right, and drop a nickel on that what?
Subscribe button.
All
Nice.
right, we'll see you later, buddy. Go get ready for that 10 o'clock game.
He's a natural.
There you go. He's my partner in crime. Always,
I love it.
Always talking football with me. Always asking me questions. Sometimes too many questions.
I love it, Mike. I think you know what? I think he hit the nail right on the head. It's pretty much don't overlook this team. I mean, they gave the Bucks a really close game last week, almost really a big scare for them, and could have really potentially screwed up their seeding in the playoffs too. But yeah, absolutely can't overlook the Jets. That's for sure.
Yeah, they should have won. I watched that game so I can get a little bit of insight to what I was going to talk about this week. And they had 4th and 2 down in the Patriots and I'm sorry, I see Patriots when I think of Brady.
Yeah,
down in the Bucks, and they were pretty much looking to wrap that game up. They go for it on 4th and 2. It was 4th and 2, and they try a quarterback sneak up the middle. Come on, it was stuffed so easily. They give Brady the ball, and you give him time, and we know what happens when you give Brady any amount of time, and he had over 2 minutes. That's where he
way too much time. 30
seconds
seconds is even like too much time. It's insane. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so that was a lot of fun here. So good to see you out there, Slinky. Morning, everyone in the channel. And Slinky coming out says our goal is let's go up by like 20 points. I would love to see that. Let's get up by a lot, but I don't know. These are interdivision games, and they're always tough, and I would love to be able to rest the players, but I don't see that happening with this team, and we'll talk about that right now. So let's get into the show today. Jake, let's switch over here. Talk about the injury report. We're looking pretty good on our side. F.A. Abada is out. Emmanuel Sanders was doubtful again, so I don't expect to see him. He probably will be inactive for the game, so don't expect to see him. Over on the Jets side, Braxton Berrios is on IR. No, he's not a starter, Jake, but he's a big miss for them, right? He's their return guy. He played a great game last week against the Buccaneers. And you had him as an impact player, so why don't we talk about him right now? because you had him initially as one of your impact players.
I've loved Braxton Berrios ever since he came out of the University of Miami. He's been nothing but spectacular when he's had an opportunity to show himself off a little bit. And I think we're just starting to get a little taste of what he can do, specifically, not just in the return game, but as a receiver. It's nice to see, he's mainly just been used in that return game a little bit. And now, I mean, the Jets seem to be, well, they tried to put a focus on him at receiver, and he did really well. I mean, 8 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown last week. So, yeah, I think he could definitely play in this league. He's shown that a little bit, and it's only his 3rd year, so he's got time. But, yeah, definitely was a threat, and now, obviously, we don't have to worry about him, so that's huge.
Yeah, the Bucs were kicking away from him. So on kickoffs, because Berrios returned one for a touchdown a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So they were kicking away from him. So what was happening is the Jets were having two returners back, and they kept going to the opposite side of Berrios.
Yep.
And like you said, the guy, he's 5'9", he's 190 pounds, but he's a nightmare matchup for folks. And he really showed it last week. Now, it's unfortunate for us, unfortunate for them, but they do have Crowder coming back this week. I do want to ask you, I mean, Berrios is 5'9", 190 pounds. Do you remember another special teams guy who's roughly around 5'9", maybe 185, 190 pounds, whose main job was special teams, but when he was out there as a receiver was another nightmare matchup? Who might that be?
That's our guy Isaiah McKenzie, Mike.
Well, yes, and I'm going to go back a little further in time. I'm going to date myself a little bit.
Oh, you're talking Steve Tasker.
Talking the greatest of all time,
okay.
Right?
I thought you were talking like most recently.
No.
Isaiah McKenzie, pretty similar stature too. So,
if you think about it, Steve Tasker might have been the Wes Welker before there was a Wes Welker. I mean, he...
Little different. I think he was more used on the outside, but yeah, he kind of started... Well, he first off invented a Pro Bowl position for special teamers. And secondly, I mean, it's pretty wild how he sort of integrated into the offense towards the end of his career, So kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Jim Kelly would always be trying to get him on the field. Of course, they didn't want to put him out there. The special teams coach was like, no, we cannot risk getting Steve Tasker injured. But I got to tell you, Jake, whenever he was out there, I loved it. I mean, he was also a nightmare matchup. They couldn't keep up with the quickness. And he had great hands. And you should read the stories back then, how Kelly would always try to get him. He'd get in with the coaches and like, we need to get Steve out there. We need to get Steve out there. No one can guard him in practice. Let's get him out there in the game. So he had a few times out there, and it was fun to watch. But it brought back memories when I saw Berrios out there as I was rewatching the game, and just how he was just small, but he's quick. He running good routes, and he had a great game. So.
That's how a lot of these guys really started off. I mean, it like even with Danny Amendola, there's another example too. Started mainly as just a special teamer, returning kicks. Got into the special teams game as a gunner too a little bit, and then they started integrating him into the offense and played extremely well. And you almost make yourself so valuable on offense that you have to just feed him the ball. He had 8 catches last week. I mean, that's just who he is. He's a possession guy. He doesn't shy away from going over the middle. He makes the tough catches. Just your stereotypical slot receiver. I freaking love it. Yeah. It's great. Tough, gritty guys going across the middle, making it happen. Special place in my heart for those guys.
Yeah, totally agree. So they also have George Fant, Elijah Moore, and Jared Davis out as well. Elijah Moore, the rookie they drafted this year, been having a good year, but he's been out recently. And I don't know if it's...
Those are big injuries, actually, Mike. I mean, all those guys, I mean, I know you don't have them listed as starters, but they definitely get in the game quite a bit, and they're, they made an impact on that team. So all those guys, those are big names to be out.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into the weather report a little bit. So the weather report today is roughly around kickoff time. Again, remember the game was shifted from for me, 10 a.m. to 1:25 in the afternoon. For you guys on the East Coast, that's a 4:25 game, and it was shifted. So just be aware of that. You're not going to have your 10 o'clock game or your 1 o'clock game like you normally expect. 25 degrees at kickoff. Wind chill is going to be roughly around 20 degrees. It's going to be cold. Snow flurries possible, and the winds out of the west 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. So a little bit of wind there. I think it might have been a blessing that the game was moved a little bit later in the afternoon, because I believe, what's the weather like right now, Jake?
Well, right now it's rainy and like 40 degrees. So I think,
Okay.
yeah, if I'm picking between the two, I'd rather play in some snow instead of rain. Also, isn't it crazy? I feel like every single home game this year has pretty much had some sort of weather
Yeah.
element, something going on, something that wasn't super ideal. But I'm going to say this too, because I know this is going to bring out all the people who want the dome again. It's been every freaking home game. Everyone's like, oh man, wonder what would have happened if we would have had a dome. When did people become so soft, Mike? What the heck? I mean, this is football, right? I mean, shoot, I love the elements. I know people hate it. They want to see good play on the field. Guess what? You got to battle through adversity sometimes. This is Buffalo. It is what it is. We got to deal with it. People still show up to the games. People still go. We're diehards here. So regardless of the weather, the players got to go out and play. The fans got to show up, plain and simple.
Yeah, so it's expected to be cold enough. If we do get a little bit of rain during the game, it's going to be snow out there. One thing we learned, I know that Josh Allen can throw in the wind, but what we also learned is that not all the time can the receivers catch the ball. I mean, Josh is throwing that ball so darn hard. We saw last week a couple drops because he's just gunning the ball, and we really didn't have the winds last week at all. But when you're playing in winds like this, you got to put some extra mustard on that throw. And we saw that it's difficult to catch. The ball's moving, ball's harder, things are slick, and we saw some drops that we normally don't see because of that. So it'll be interesting. Weather has affected us, it seemed. Jake, I hear you on the dome thing, but initially,
I just had to say it.
But I don't know. I've been brought over to the other side of the fence now. I am a believer that we need the retractable roof at the very least. And again, it's just more like I want to see the best of the best. I mean, I don't want any factors. Let me see who the better team is. That's my only reason for it. Like, I want to see we're a passing team. I want to see that beautiful passing game. I don't want to see them struggling in the weather conditions. But
so now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think every team should play in a dome then?
Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. If they have to,
we make every site a neutral site. Then? Do you think? I don't know. I think it is. It's a cool storyline to have in sports when you have those games in the weather and stuff. And yeah, I know weird things happen and stuff like that. But I mean, we played in Jacksonville and it was 9-6. I mean, literally perfect weather conditions. Maybe it was a little warm, 85 degrees plus, but still, like, I don't know. That argument, it can be made for everything.
My only answer to that would be, as they build new stadiums, I mean, you have to look at it. Look, Minnesota back in the day, I think they were open, right? It was cold. They had a lot of weather. Not anymore. And
the purple people eaters.
Right, the purple people eaters. So there are others. But you can make that argument. Yeah, it's a great discussion. And I really don't know.
I totally understand it. I totally understand it. I think I'm just so bitter and stubborn about it because I just like nostalgia guy. I just love it for what it is. I love the tough, gritty thing with Buffalo and all that, But I totally understand why you want to buy it, why you want to build a dome. You're going to put money into a new stadium. Might as well do it right. I totally get it. 100%.
Well, just for those out there, they probably noticed we're having a little bit of video issues today with this technology. You can hear Jake loud and clear, and I correct this video anytime I see it going out of whack. So if you're seeing,
am I looking like the Hulk?
You look like the Hulk sometimes, but usually I catch it before it gets to that point. But that's a good look for you as well. So
I love it.
All right, let's get a little bit about the Jets. It's the second time we've seen them, but let's talk about how they've been doing since we've seen them last. So on the offensive side, there we go. There's that acting up nicely there for you. Let me fix that. There you go. On the offensive side of the ball, they're 21st overall total yards per game at 322 yards. They're 25th in the rushing yards per game at 101. They're 17th in passing yards per game at 221. And they're 25th in points per game at 18.8. On the defensive side of the ball, oh my goodness, they're dead last, 32nd in points per game at 29.8. They're 32nd in yards per game, again, dead last at 396. 29th in passing yards per game, 259. 29th in rushing yards per game, 136. They're 20th in sacks on the year, 33, which is, I think it was right below or right around where Buffalo is. And then they're 29th in takeaways with 14. So not looking too good on that defensive side of the ball, but don't sleep on this team. They almost took out the Buccaneers. They're playing hard. This to me is Robert Saleh is going to have them playing as if this is a playoff game. This is a great measuring stick for them. to kind of able to see, get some confidence, momentum builder for next year, kind of see where we're at. I mean, they almost beat the defending Super Bowl champs. I mean, that right there is huge. Now you're going against the hopefully the AFC East champs from last year, and hopefully again this year. Here's a chance for you to kind of just keep building that momentum going into next year. So don't overlook them. I know they're at the bottom of the stat sheet here, but I mean, what I saw last week when I watched that game was not a team that was ranked near the bottom on defense. They were putting pressure on Brady all day, all game, and so I just don't sleep on it. It's like Jonas said at the beginning of the show. You cannot overlook any team. We know this better than anyone.
Yeah.
Jake, I had a long ride with the kids yesterday. We went up to visit some family. And on the way back, Jonah's always talking football. And it just, I kind of thought about the Jaguars. Like, they got 2 wins on the season. 2 wins,
yeah.
Jake. And how were one of those wins us? I still boggles me that we couldn't even score a touchdown. And like you said, great weather. So, yeah, it was a topic of discussion on the way down the hill. We had about an hour and 40-minute ride, and it just got me thinking, like, man.
All's I got to say is, if you're a good football team, you got to be able to execute in any type of weather there is. I don't care who you are, what type of team you think you are. If you can't play in bad weather conditions, I'm sorry. I mean, you can adjust your game plan like the Patriots did.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, and I think our run game has come a long way. I will say that.
For sure. All right, let's get into your key matchups for the week, Jake. Bills receivers versus the Jets secondary, and then you got the Bills D-line versus the Jets O-line. So talk to me about the Bills receivers versus the Jets secondary.
I just think that we're going to have an absolute day today. We can take advantage of the secondary a little bit. I mean, I like Brandon Eccles and all, don't get me wrong here, but I just think that we're better. We got to target our guys. Stephon Diggs has some incentives in his contract. 6 catches I think he needs to get to 100 on the season. Mm-hmm. Then he gets a nice little bonus. And then I think he also has a receiving yardage incentive as well. He needs like 100 and something yards to get to 1375. I think that's what his contract says, something like that. So I look to see Stephon Diggs to be a primary target today. Definitely got to go after him. He killed it in the first game against the Jets, so no reason why we don't do the same thing this game. Gabe Davis, obviously, would love to see some more action with him, and then get our slot guys involved, Isaiah McKenzie, and I'm not sure what's going on with Cole, but yeah, so.
All right, well, so go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we should definitely maybe have 2 to 3 100-yard receivers today. That's my thought. I don't know if we're going to keep the guys in as long as they probably would play in a normal game. But if they are in for the full game, we should have 2 100-yard receivers. That's my maybe a foreshadow of my bold prediction.
Yeah, we got our bold predictions that you asked that we add towards the end of the show. So you're already kind of,
I know.
Giving those out. But let's hold on to that for a little bit. So you're absolutely right. Diggs, I mean, check this out, Jake. 6 catches. He gets 6 more catches. He gets $750,000 added to his base salary for next year. And then he has $800,000 added to his base salary for 2023. Pretty nice. I mean, I don't see how
you better believe Josh is going to want to get him those numbers too. I mean, there's no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's see here. You got the Bills D-line for the Jets O-line. So if I'm a little going back and forth, it's because I'm trying to keep Jake's video in here. He's turned into the Hulk a few times. It just means he's fired up for the game. We've seen this a couple times. So
too excited.
Go ahead, Jake.
I'm turning green for the Jets. I'm getting too excited, and my mind is on the Jets, so I'm turning green right now. So, Bills D-line versus Jets O-line. I think we need to get hot going into the playoffs here with our defensive line. I mean, we've been playing a lot better, but keep that going into the playoffs here. I mean, this is huge. Our young defensive linemen have played fantastic. I want to see more Greg Rousseau. I want to see more AJ Epinesa, Mike, and more Boogie Basham. I want to see the young guys get some reps, get them involved a little bit, have them record a few sacks, get home a little bit. Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, have them just come in for certain situations. I think they do a good job playing with discipline. But our young guys need more reps. They need to get out there more often. And I think they played extremely well lately. Even our interior line, Harrison Phillips, who's the thumbnail of the show, has played fantastic lately. And Eddie Oliver's played awesome. So, absolutely look to see them have a day. And I actually have a trivia question for you. So I was talking with a couple of buddies yesterday. Jerry Hughes, we were talking about how, we're not really super thrilled with his performance. He's got like 1.5 sacks on the year, 17 tackles, not having a great year statistically. Always finds a way to get like up in the top 3 though for pressures, but we need him to get home. But anyways, that's besides the fact. Who did we trade? Who did we trade for Jerry Hughes? Do you know who we did? Who that was?
Okay, let me think about that.
I struggled with this. I knew the college. I for whatever reason, I couldn't remember the name of the linebacker that we traded. I'll give you a hint as a linebacker. Here we go.
Man, so
it's a tough one.
He's been with us for what, 10 years now? It's been with us for a while, right?
Yeah, about 10 years. Yep.
Gosh. Linebacker?
He's a linebacker. And chat, if you know who this is, go for it. Don't look it up. Don't Google it.
Yeah,
do yourself a favor and try to figure this out.
I mean, who would we trade as a linebacker? I mean, the only guys that even come to mind, and I think they were past their days with the Bills, but Cornelius Bennett, Shane Conlon. I mean, those are probably way too far back, right? I'm just going 10 years ago. It just seems like so long.
Yeah.
Was he a good linebacker? Did he perform well for the? Was he?
He actually played in the league for a while. He played in the league until about 2018. So he was drafted into the 3rd round by the Bills out of LSU. So that's what I remembered. And for whatever reason, I could not remember his name. So I had to make myself do some push-ups afterwards, Mike, because I really pride myself on knowing these things.
And he was a starter for us?
He did play. Yeah, he was a starter. He was kind of more of a role player.
Okay.
But yeah, he got some time.
I don't know. Let me see if the channel's coming in with anything.
Yeah, I want to see if they know. I'm going to give them like 15 seconds here.
So Antonio, good to see Antonio back there. He says, I don't know if that was his answer, because I'm just flipping back to that. Wasn't Nigel Branham right?
So that was a name that came to mind. Nigel Branham actually went to the Eagles, though. He was, I think, basically a contract casualty for us. No, it was not. It was not Nigel Branham. I like the guess. It was actually Kelvin Shepard. I don't know if you remember that name.
I would have never remembered. No.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he actually had kind of a long career. He played till 2018. Like I said, he actually finished his career up, I think, with the Giants. So he kind of bounced around a little bit. So played with the Lions a little bit too. So.
All right. Well, let me get, great question. I don't even remember the guy. And, so I would have never hit that one, but, I don't feel so bad. It doesn't look like the channel had
it was a tough
either.
one. That was a tough one.
And
like I said, Mike, I totally forgot.
Then, yeah. So let me go back to the channel here. Sorry, I haven't been on the channel. I've been trying to keep all the tech stuff going strong here. Let's go back here. As Uncle Jay's out there again. I have stopped making huge predictions of the Bills win 24-21 Buffalo. And yeah, pretty much that's what Jonah predicted, a 3-point victory for the Bills at 2017. And let's see, Uncle Jay said Steve Tasker was ejected in his last game. That's a tough way to go out for that man.
I know. I do remember seeing that. Yeah, he was ejected. That's true. Wow.
When I was younger, I worked near the stadium at a sporting goods store. And I don't know if it's still a store there. It was Bert's Bike and Sports. Is that still the store there?
Oh, yeah, it's still there.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was close to the stadium, and I was managing the store. It was mostly a bike shop. And Tasker comes in. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, wow. And this was like right after one of the Super Bowl losses, and he had told me that he's probably watched it now. It's been many, many years, but he said he just couldn't rewatch it. Did not rewatch that game where they lost to the Giants. He says, I can't do it. So it was great to meet him at some point. But
it was right after that Super Bowl, or was it? This is many years after the fact?
No, it was probably a year after that.
Wow. Oh man, yeah. Of any of them to have to rewatch, that probably would definitely be
the other ones. I mean, you weren't really in it, but that first one was just so tough. They were big favorites in that game. Should have won that game, and it was interesting. And then when he came in, I'm like, dude, you're my size. I mean, I could be. How are you doing what you're doing in special teams and receiver? He was 5'9". He was 185 is what he was in his playing weight. So good stuff there. All right, who else we got there today? We got Uncle Jay saying, what did he say? He said something
spoken
about
like a Cali boy. I think it was about the weather, Mike.
All right. Well, Uncle Jay, you do know I grew up in Buffalo for many, many years, lived there. And,
that's right.
And I think it's not Cali boy. It's more getting older. My bones get cold very easily. I don't want to be out in that weather. And again, like I said, I would love to see the best of the best playing. So, and then who else we got? We got Zach out there today. He said, "I'd like to see a stadium like the old Cowboys field, just open at the top, covers fans." That's been a lot of talking points for people. Maybe just protect the fans just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I got to tour that old stadium in Dallas. I went out there one year for business. Company
Nice.
sent me out there, and it wasn't during football season, but they give you tours. So I was lucky enough to go down there that day, and used to have pictures, but I've lost those over time. But it was super cool to be on that field, on that
That's
star,
cool.
where a lot of cool things happen.
Nice.
Let's see. Antonio, we haven't seen Antonio in a while. Good to see him back. And then Zach says, would love Rousseau, Epinesa, and Harry play the whole game. Potential future of the line.
I'm looking at the chat right now. Hey, Zan Lee, shout out to you. I appreciate you joining, man. It's cool to have other fan bases in here. So we do actually. There is a gay bar, by the way. I believe it's called Marcella's Club Marcella's. You should check it out when you come up to Buffalo. It'd be fun.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know yet, but it is very highly. There's a potential for us to play the Pats again, right? I mean, we don't know as it looks right now, and I'd have to bring it up and maybe know off the top of your head. If the season were to already be over, who would we be playing today in the playoffs?
It would be the Pats, yes. It'd be 4-5, which actually that would be very interesting to see. I would love to see that, get a little redemption game at home. You know, it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. So we already know we almost got a present yesterday by the Broncos. I thought it was going to happen. Broncos had the Chiefs late in that game, and then they had that 86 fumble return for a touchdown. As Melvin Gordon fumbled that thing.
Yeah, people are just probably cursing out Melvin Gordon all day because man, that's tough. That's
because we still had a shot to get to the second seed. It was going to require that both the Chiefs lose and the Bengals lose, right? So the Chiefs lost. I mean, if the Chiefs won, so that's no longer an option. We could get to the third seed, I believe, and that'll depend on the Bengal game. Interesting enough, they're not playing Burrow because of a knee injury he sustained in last week's game. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like the way they were talking, like he could play, and to me, I'm like, why is he not playing? Because they could wrap up that third spot, third seed. Yep. So I'm not sure about that one, but he is not playing. So that'll be interesting. All right, did I catch up with everybody here?
Hey, Timmy actually got it. I don't know if Timmy heard us before, but he did say Kelvin Shepard, my buddy Timmy Corcoran. Shout out to you, Tim. By the way, I'm going to give a shout out to all those guys. We're in a Snapchat group. Me, Tim, my other buddy Jack Balkin, and then Bub Crum. We call him Bub. His actual name is Alex, I believe. I don't even know for a fact, but shout out to those guys. They wanted me to give them a shout out. Here I am. I am giving you that shout out.
So he knew it in your chat. He didn't say it. He's not here. He's not on in the channel right now. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. He said Kelvin Shepard. He actually got it. That was pretty good. I could count on Timmy for that because I know he knows a lot of like random old Bills trivia like that. So that's pretty huge. Love it.
Nice. All right. Well, before you turn the Hulk fully, let me fix that real quick, and then we'll get over to my key matchups for the week. So I always let Jake go first, pick who his key matchups are and his impact players, and then I try to bring something a little different. And
I feel bad, Mike. I feel like I always take the players
you left me some good ones this week, so I appreciate that. So I've got it flipped here. I got the Bills O-line versus the Jets D-line. Don't sleep on these guys. They got Quinn and Williams returning this week. He's missed the last couple games due to COVID. He's also been struggling with the shoulder injury, but don't sleep on that guy. I mean, he's a first-round pick from a couple years ago, and he is their sack leader this year. He's a man impact player, so I shouldn't be spoiling that. But the Bills O-line's been looking really good lately, and let's continue that. And this is another good test because when I watched that game against the Bucs last week, they were getting to Brady, and I was impressed with that defensive line on the Jets. They were not giving up. They're playing hard for Robert Saleh, and again, we talked about that earlier in the game or in the show that this is just another way for them to build going into the next season. And Saleh's going to have them thinking mental-wise what their mentality is going to be. This is a playoff game for us, right? And a lot of guys' jobs are on the line as well. This is where you want to showcase and make sure that maybe if you're not going to be with the Jets, that someone else is going to want you. But hopefully you want to keep your job because the future looks bright. I mean, when you look at some of the key players that the Jets have, they probably are about 2 or 3 key players away from being a potential contender. So we'll see. So that's where I'm going with O-line. Let's continue the strong play that we've seen. And then over on the other side, I just flipped it. Jets receivers versus the Bills secondary. Now, again, they're without Elijah Moore. They're without Berrios, which are been very key components for them this year. But they do get Jameson Crowder back. And
Bills killer. He's a Bills killer, Mike.
Exactly. So he's always tough. And I feel like, I don't know, let me ask you this, because when Trey White went out, we were very, very worried about our secondary, as we should be, as we should have been, and as we still continue to be. But I don't know, every game script feels like they've been doing great, I feel. The guys, Dane Jackson, yeah, he's probably been beat on a few plays, and I feel like he got a little lucky on a couple plays.
Yeah, he's made a few mistakes, but that's growing pains. He's still young. It's the second year. He's a 7th round pick, I think. Yeah.
And then Levi Wallace has stepped up. Do you think it's been more of, obviously we talked about how that you could help your secondary, and that was getting pressure on the quarterback or front, or defensive line. To some degree, that happened last week. I mean, we had 4 or 5 sacks last week?
Yeah, 5 sacks, I think it was, yeah.
So I'm not really sure. Because we haven't played the greatest passing teams other than the Tampa game. When we had to come back, and they did put up some good numbers on us in that secondary. What's your thoughts on the state of our secondary if we have to go against a top throwing team like a Kansas City?
I love that we're an under the radar secondary. I think our guys can make plays, and having those guys in the back, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, is huge. I think the leadership that those guys show really has helped our other corners kind of develop and stay in sync, and make the right plays and stay home and stay disciplined. I know Dane Jackson has gotten in trouble a few times where he's kind of followed the receiver across the middle, and then you get smoked on another crossing pattern. But I'll tell you what, it's part of the growing pains process with him. I think he can be a very good player. And Levi Wallace, I'm going to give a shout out to him. I know we've been dogging him all year, Mike, but I think he's played fantastic this entire season. Really, I think since there was like a kind of a, I don't know, when Trey went down, I think there was like a moment for him where he felt like he needed to really step up. And ever since then, he's really, really stepped it up even more so. I think even at the beginning of the year, he was playing okay, and we were still getting on him a little bit here and there because he would make some dumb penalties and whatnot. But once Trey went down, I think Levi really felt the need to step up, and he's done a great job with that. So shout out to him. And then, of course, Taron Johnson's just been, an absolute stud too. So great nickel corner, probably one of the top 3 in the league. So you can't go wrong there.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good matchup with Crowder. I think he plays a lot of slot, so it'll be a great matchup for Johnson. Yes, I got, as Uncle Jay said last week, I got a lot of stock in Taron Johnson, and it's been going up and up. So been happy, super happy with that investment. You've been saying we've been dogging on Wallace, not on the show. I mean, I think you've talked a few things about him. And
I think behind the general, scenes,
yes,
maybe with some of your friends in that, but the show's been pretty friendly to Wallace. I think he's really stepped up this year and played great. He really has.
I think early on I was a little critical on him. At times I would say, "Oh, Levi, come on!" And then finally there was like there was a turning point. I don't know what happened, but like I said, I think since that Trey White injury, he's really stepped up even more so. So it's been really good to see.
All right, let's see here. We got Brandon. Good to see you out there, buddy. And then we got Z-Bell out there. And then my son Brandon's like, I've been dogging him for sure.
I think a lot of people have been. Yeah, a lot of outsiders have been. But then again,
He's across from Trey White, so he's gonna get the most looks, and
exactly.
He's gonna have the most touchdowns against them. So he's always gonna look a little worse than Trey White is gonna look, because he's gonna get all the action. But yeah, he's really stepped up, I thought. Totally agree with you. All right, let's see. Did I catch up on all the channel? I think so. Let's get on to your impact players. We got Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Aaron Johnson stealing my guy. But
I'm sorry.
I'll let you have that this week. And then on the other side, you got Michael Carter, Ty Johnson, C.J. Mosley. We said at the top of the show initially you had Barrios in there instead of Ty Johnson, so we just replaced them. But yeah, talk about the Bills side.
Yep. So first off, Stephon Diggs, he's got those contract incentives. I think he's going to have a big day today just because of that alone. Josh is going to want to get him the ball early. I don't know how long the starters are going to play. Hopefully we get a big lead. Maybe we get a big lead going into half, and then they start taking guys out slowly but surely. But I really want to see Stephon Diggs get those 6 catches, and he needs like 100 and something yards to get to that 1375 mark. So let's make it happen. I mean, shoot, come on. This is a real good potential earning day for a lot of guys, and Stephon Diggs is one of those guys. So, and if not, we do have Gabe Davis, who's one of my other impact guys who, I think if we get him going, he could have another big day. I believe it was the last time we played the Jets, wasn't it, that they both had over 100 yards receiving?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I want to say it was. I'm going to have to look that up to verify, but I think Gabe had like 3 for 105 and a touchdown, or maybe I'm thinking of a different game. But anyways, absolutely. Get those guys both the ball, get them fed on the outside there. Obviously want to see the slot guys get some work too, but yeah, I mean, big day for Stephon Diggs, obviously just because of those contract incentives. So I had to put both of them on for my impact players. Then we have Taron Johnson, who's going to have his hands full a little bit because we have Jamison Crowder. Originally, like I said, or like you said, Mike, I had Braxton Berrios on for the Jets there too, another slot guy. So Taron Johnson's going to get a lot of work against Jamison Crowder. Jamison likes to play in the slot. They kind of slide him out. He can play outside a little bit too, but he's always been kind of a Bills killer. Like I said earlier, he's done really well against us in the past. So he's a guy to look out for. It's going to be a good matchup to watch. Taron Johnson's going to win this matchup though. Maybe Jamison goes for like 4 for 44 on the day, something along those lines, but that's it. So going to be a good one. Then we have on the Jets side, we have Michael Carter, and I put both running backs on here. Originally, like I said, I originally had Braxton Berrios, but I put Ty Johnson in his place because Ty Johnson, he's been a great receiving back for the Jets. Yeah. I mean, he's a dual threat guy. Even last week, I think he was second on the team in receiving yards. He had like 3 for 47, and he can find a way to get in the end zone. So he's definitely a guy to key on. That's a nice 1-2 punch they got going on there with Michael Carter and Ty Johnson. Michael Carter looks like he's going to play. He's coming off a concussion. He's had a pretty nice rookie year. He's got 600-something yards on the year, and he's done a nice job with that offense. So happy to see that. And I thought he was going to have a nice year. I actually picked him up in my Dynasty League, so he's kind of been sitting on my taxi list for a little bit there. So going to be interesting to see how his career turns out with the Jets. But yeah, really nice 1-2 punch with those two. And we know what the Bills, kind of one of the weaknesses has been stopping the run game. So you have two potential dangerous game-changing running backs like that. It's going to be something to key on. And then we got the leader of that team, CJ Mosley. Another phenomenal year. I think he's got 155 tackles, just so consistent, so good. And he even said to any free agents that are looking to maybe sign with the Jets, or, any player that thinks, oh, we're going to lose, or, we don't want to go to the Jets because we think we're going to lose. He said, we don't need you. So the guy he's been such a warrior for that team. He actually, I think he opted out last year, or he was injured. I know he had a couple ACL injuries, but CJ's just been fantastic his entire career, and obviously a key piece of that defense. Probably the best player on the team, honestly. So those are my guys.
Yeah, I like the picks over there because you're right. The running backs, I think that was appropriate to put up there because we have struggled against the run in certain cases. Last week when I watched the game, they actually ran the ball pretty well. Carter was having a great game until he got hurt. They do dump the ball off a lot to their back, so that's going to have to be something the Bills are prepared for. And then Mosley, like you said, having a leader like that is, you just can't replace something like that. That just means so much, and he's going to be fired up for this game. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he plays at an all-pro level. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. Pro Bowl linebacker, all-pro linebacker. He's been fantastic his whole career.
Yep. All right, let's move on to my impact players, and then we'll go check out what's going on in the channel here. Can't see the channel right now because I got a lot of screens going on, trying to keep the tech stuff going here. So let's go on to mine. So Singletary, I'm glad you left him for me. I know you were thinking about putting him on there. I didn't even have to ask you. I know you were thinking about it, but you're like,
I was.
I'm gonna.
I really was.
I'm gonna let Mike talk about him because he's been Mike's guy all year. So Singletary, and again, I'm going to wait to my bold prediction, but I have something about Singletary. I called it last week. I said he was going to have over 100 yards and a touchdown, at least one, and he did. We'll make another bold prediction here shortly. Josh Allen, you usually take Josh. You left him for me, so thank you. I don't know how I was lucky to have that. But I want to see Josh, get back. I mean, he threw 3 picks, did not have the best game last week. Thank goodness for our running game was cooking, and he was part of that as well. But as far as throwing the ball, it was not a good game for Josh. I want to see him get back, just have a great game, get ready for those playoffs. We know we're in the playoffs, just don't know where we're going to be. If we win today, we know we're the AFC champs, and we're either going to be the 3 seed or 4 seed. So I want to see Josh have a great game. I think, like you said, with the fact that Diggs has to have at least 6 catches to get his bonus, I think that's going to happen and beyond. And so I think this is kind of a good rebound game. Now, it does scare me about that weather. I'm sorry. It does scare me a little bit, gust up to 30 miles an hour. So we'll see. And then Harrison Phillips. Yes, he was on my thumbnail. I mean, you want to talk about just a hardworking guy. First of all, they talked about this quote in the game last week, and I loved it, and I researched it. And so Harrison Phillips, he loves this little saying here, right? He says, "My position is," and I almost put a fire hydrant on the slide, but I'm like, I said, "My position is like the fire hydrant at the dog show. You're the guy in the middle, right there, and everyone's kind of coming up to you and peeing on you." I love that. He was a 3rd round, 96 overall by the Bills in 2018, and many of the scouts had him as a top 5 defensive tackle that year. And they thought he'd go in the 2nd round. He ended up going in the 3rd round. But it's been a little bit of a journey for him. And he just works so hard. And he's starting to make some big plays. I think he had his first, they were talking about him last week. And didn't he get his first sack of the year last week? I think
it was his first sack of the year. I think you're right on that, Mike.
Yeah. So, love the story with this guy. I think I want to see more of him. And let's get him out there and see what he can continue to do. Ride the hot hand. Then over on the New York Jets side, again, you left me this one. Zach Wilson. How can I not list Zach Wilson? I mean, Wilson, his completion percentage is only about 56.7, 57%, roughly. He's thrown 11 interceptions, but over half of those, Jake, came early in the season, where he threw 6 of them in 2 games. So I watched this game last week. He can extend plays. He can get outside the pocket and make some plays. And, I think he had a pretty good game last week, and the turnovers are down. And I expect him to just continue to grow with that team. And you got to watch out for this guy. I think Jonah mentioned him early on as well. So don't sleep on him. And then let's see here. Jameson Crowder, we already talked about him enough. I don't need to say anything more. And then Quinn and Williams. I mean, that guy is a beast. He was the 3rd pick overall in what year? 2019. Out of what college, Jake?
Alabama.
Yep. I mean, he's a beast. He had a great college career, and he's having a very, very good professional career. He's had some injuries, but when the guy's in, and he's back this week. Now, he's not going to probably be at full speed. He's coming off of COVID. He's also been dealing with a shoulder injury all year. But this is a guy that he's missed he wasn't there last week against that Bucs game, and who knows how it would have turned out if he was there. So, again, our O-lines struggle at times. We've been pretty good the last few weeks, and I want to continue to see that, but watch out for this guy. Do not sleep on this guy. Any thoughts on any of those guys?
Yeah, well, first off, let's talk about Zach Wilson a little bit. So I think a lot of people have these huge expectations for these rookie quarterbacks. Obviously, you have the similar expectations for Trevor Lawrence as you did for Zach Wilson. They're 1 pick apart. You got 1 and 2, right? So both of those guys really have been kind of on the downslide more so. But as of recent, Zach Wilson has really come along. I think the start of the year, he really struggled, and he got injured. And that really set him back a little bit. And then when he came back from that injury, he's been playing really good football lately. And you can see the progression. Now with Trevor Lawrence, I hate to make this comparison. You're looking at 1 and 2. Trevor Lawrence, it seems like he's almost gotten worse as the season's gone on. I think he's only thrown like 2 touchdowns since like November or something, or since week 6, something ridiculous. So not great for that. So if you want to compare 2, 1 and 2 quarterbacks right there that were picked back to back. I think Zach Wilson actually has outplayed Trevor Lawrence this year, and it's I guess encouraging to see as a Jets fan that this guy is improving. And I think you have to remember too that quarterback's development is always different. Even look at Josh Allen when he was a rookie. I mean, he struggled at times. He had his growing pains, and look at him now. I mean, it's pretty crazy, pretty remarkable to see what can happen only in a few seasons for a young quarterback. So I wish the best for Zach Wilson. I think he can be a good player in this league. He's shown some spark, and he's given the Jets a good chance to win offensively. So it's good to see.
All right, I just going back to the channel here, and I see Big Steppa going off.
I know, Jets on top. He's freaking spamming it. I love it. A lot of confidence from Big Steppa. What do you think, Big Steppa? Give us your score prediction for today. Something realistic, too. I don't want to hear 50-0.
Yeah, right. And then we have Kyle out there. He's predicting 35-13 Bills. Let's see. Let me catch up in the channel here. Let's see. Yep. OU 2.5 punts for Matt Hack over under. So he hasn't had a punt in 2 games. I'm gonna take the under. No.
I'll take the over. I think he's gonna have 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I mean, we haven't had the punt in the last 2 weeks, so I think he's have to punt 1 or twice. I think the Jets will step it up. Plus with the weather conditions, I think for sure. Now, something to think about, or people talk about, hey, we didn't have to punt last 2 weeks. Well, we threw 3 interceptions last week, so that's like punting. It's worse than punting. So we want to stay away from those turnovers. And let's see, Big Al saying the Bills would be stepping on you. I love it. And then Zach coming in with, seems like under McDermott, year 3 is the biggest jump for guys, regardless of draft status. Seems like
I agree with that.
Yeah, year 3. Yep. Okay. And then we got a new person out there. I haven't seen.
That's actually my brother Blake. He must have logged in with his other YouTube account. So he had this account called Ragone Designs, Mike, and it's named after former NFL quarterback Dave Ragone, who was an absolute stud. He played at Louisville. Was actually up for the Heisman. He had a chance to win the Heisman at Louisville. Then he went to the Texans. He actually played in 1 game for the Texans, and he's kind of bounced around as a coach. I know he was I think he's the OC for I don't know where he's at right now, but I know he's been with the Titans. He actually was at my alma mater, John Carroll, for a little bit, working with Coach Arth, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Dave Ragone, classic. It's his burner account. Yeah.
Like this on my burner account. Well, make sure you Ragone Designs. Make sure you subscribe. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button with that burner account. And for all of you who have burner accounts, make sure you drop a nickel on that subscribe. And then Kyle's like Mr. Padre with the senior shit. Yeah, I love that.
Scuds, great to see you, man. Actually, I think Kyle might still be in New York. Him and his lovely girlfriend took a trip out there, so they've been hanging out there for a little bit. I'm not sure if he's back in Spain just yet, so shout out to you. Appreciate you watching.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so you asked for it, Jake, and here it is. Jake and Mike's bold predictions of the week. Let's give a couple of those, and then we'll get right into the score predictions. So I'll start with you, Jake. Give me some of your bold predictions.
All right, so I said this one earlier. I think the Bills have 2 100-yard receivers today. I'm not going to say which 2. I think Stephon Diggs will be one of them, but that's I don't know who the other one's going to be.
Okay.
My other one is that the offensive line doesn't allow a sack today.
Now, you said that last week, and did that come true, or did they actually?
It did come true.
Okay.
Did come true. So I'm going to do that 2 weeks back to back. That's right. I forgot I did that one last week, but I'm going to say it again.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to ride the hot hand from last week as well. I'm going to say Singletary again breaks the 100-yard mark. So he's going to back-to-back 100-yard games. And my other bold prediction is that we're finally going to get to see a plus 50-yard touchdown from us on our offense. So something we have not seen this year, which is just mind-boggling to me with the offense that we have not had a plus 50-yard touchdown. I think the longest from scrimmage was the 45-yard touchdown run by Singletary early in the year against the Dolphins, I believe.
Stephon Diggs did have a 61-yard catch, but I don't think it was
not for a touchdown. It was that it was a deep throw. We all thought, like, what happened? Because he kind of and he got tackled short. So yes, I'm calling for a touchdown. Anybody else have any bold predictions? Would love to hear that in the channel. And
I
so
do love that.
let's get into the predictions, the score predictions. So everybody, as you know, please put your score predictions out there. If you happen to hit it, you get a $50 gift card from the Nickel City Mafia. So please put that out there. I'll start with you, Jake. How do you see this game going? And give me your score prediction.
Mike, I've been asking for this all year, that we get off to a hot start, but I think I've realized that we're just not that type of team. And even in the first game against the Jets, what was it, 10-3 at half, I want to say, and then we just took it over in the second half and absolutely demolished them. So I don't know. I just feel like with the way the games have been playing out this entire year, first half might be, I can't say it's going to be a high-scoring first half, so I just feel like that's the type of team that we are, and that's what we have to accept, which is unfortunate. I'd rather be a better second-half team anyways, because we usually turn it on. So I think the second half is going to be much better for us. This also does depend on whether we keep our starters in the entire game. Hopefully we get a big enough lead where we can maybe take some of those guys out and rest them. But my thought, Bills 34, Jets 17.
Okay. Put that in the channel.
Yep.
So I got to ask you, I think I'd have to look. Maybe you can look it up while I'm talking about it. So I think the Patriots played this morning, right? Or they played the early game?
Yes.
Okay. So my thought is that they play the Dolphins. No easy task. The Dolphins actually beat them earlier in the season. And I feel like they're going to.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry.
Oh,
they do play it. They play at 4:25.
All right, so the Bills.
I thought they were separate time frames.
Yeah, we might have. That's what I was getting at. Are we going to know whether or not we can rest players or not? And it doesn't sound like it. So they're going to be playing pretty much that whole game, unless we get up by what Slinky said earlier in the show. Like if we're up by 20 or something, going into late in the third, early fourth. So maybe. But yeah, these guys are going to be playing pretty much the whole game because there's something to play for sure. For me, I'm going to, again, I've been going with this. I feel like I've been going with the score quite a bit in a lot of these games. Based on what our bold predictions are, Jake, I mean, 2 guys over 100, rushing game over 100. We should be
what a day.
We should be doing 50. Something like the Cowboys did last night and put up 50 points. But again, I don't like to be like that. And I think it's an interdivision game. I think it'll be tough, but I still think the Bills will pull it out 24-14. Like that score this year, 24-14. I think the Jets are going to fight hard, and again, the Bills just need to focus on that game and don't overlook them. Again, if we hit our bold predictions, Jake, the score is going to be near 50.
It's going to be a monster day.
It's going to be a monster day.
The Bills are actually favored by 17 too, which
crazy.
is absolutely insane. So I think we're going to just hit that mark.
Yeah.
We're not going to go over. We're not going to go under. We're going to be right at 17, 34-17. Yeah, I know. It's been an interesting year with that too, because we were favored by I think 15 against the Jags, and it ends up being 9-6. I mean, we scored 15 combined points, so just wild.
So let's see. Brandon's got it at 28-20. Again, another one-score game. We got you at 34-17, and Big L says 2 picks for the Bills today, 2 INTs. So yeah. I could see that happening for sure, the way this defense is playing. And I think that's it. Do we talk about everyone in the channel? I think we caught up. We had some other fans join us, which is always great. We don't mind.
I know. We had a Pats fan and a Jets fan join us today. That's wild. Where's Troy at? That's the real question, Mike. We could have had the whole AFC East in here.
Yeah, he's still he saw his Dolphins fight back to have a shot at the playoffs, and they lost that game last week, which just kind of knocked them out. Would have been it. Yeah. It would have been interesting if they had beaten Tennessee. This would have been a huge game. And the Patriots are going to have their hands full. It's in Miami, so it's not an easy task. And the Dolphins have been playing really good football. I mean, I think they went on, what was it, an 8-game winning streak?
So they 7 because they were 1-7. Yeah.
So you could say, well, it was their schedule or not, but no, to win 7, I wish we could win 7 in a row. What's the most we've won consecutively? Was it 3? I think maybe we won.
I think it is 3.
3 consecutively this year.
That was at the beginning of the year, because we got to we were 4-1 or 3-1 heading into that Titans game.
So I think we've won our last 3, right? We've Carolina, the Pats, and then the Falcons. So now we have a chance to go 4 consecutive. So let's keep that rolling. Let's see here. I can't help but predict a huge Bills win from Antonio 38-17. And I don't
Man,
blame you. I can see that as well. Antonio, like I said, if we hit our bold predictions, you're easily going to hit that number. Easily.
They hate us because they ain't us. Spoken like a champ. Uncle Jay, I love it.
Boy, Uncle Jay.
Shout out to you.
He's become one of the most vocal guys in the channel. I love it. We finally got him over that. He said no one's ever...
He's never been accused of being quiet.
Exactly.
Which I can attest to. I don't think he's ever been a quiet guy ever since I've known him. So, yeah, I just...
But he really hadn't been talking. We know he'd been watching as a silent partner there, watching in the channel, but now he's bringing it. Love it. Big Al bringing it. Good to see a lot of the folks coming back. Antonio, great to see you.
Shout out to my father-in-law. We call him Prison Mike, by the way, Mike. His name is Mike. Great name. Fun story about that. Sidebar. We call him Prison Mike because it's from The Office. The one time we were on vacation, he wore a bandana, and he looked like Prison Mike in that episode of The Office. I don't know if you watched The Office or not, but I literally have him in my phone as Prison Mike. So I think he was going to be watching today. I think he's working. So shout out to him if he is watching. Him and his buddy Tommy, they like to watch the show too. So great stuff. Having
a 9-year-old, like I do similar things. So like when my 9-year-old says, "Can you call Santa?" So I have somebody in my address book. Santa's one of my friends.
Oh, I like it.
And then he also Black Panther says, "Dad, can you?" At one point, he was really big in the Black Panther. He's like, "Can you call Black Panther?" And sure enough, I had my my brother-in-law, and it's still to this day it says Santa and Black Panther. And I call them, and it shows their picture, and he gets all excited.
I love that.
Hopefully, he doesn't watch the rest of the show because I might have just ruined something there for him.
Oh no! Yeah, we'll just censor it a little bit. That's all.
Anyhow, so we will not be having a post-game show. Jake and I might do something in the middle of the week, talking about maybe the playoff picture, and we might have the other guys join us. Chris and Rick might join us, maybe even Tony. I don't know. We might have a show in the middle of the week, but we will be having our pregame show like normal next week, whoever that team is that we are going to be facing in the playoffs. We might even have Jake. We might even have Sean from Red, White, and Bills join us again. He and I have been talking a little bit, and did such a great job the last time we had him on. It'd be great to kind of bring him on again for such an important game.
For sure.
And final thoughts from you, Jake.
My final thoughts are just this: just go out and play some very sound, well executed football. I think these games are important. You saw what the Cowboys did last night. I think that is such a boost as you head into the playoffs. If you get a nice sound win. Dak threw 5 touchdowns last night. Maybe we could see Josh Allen throw 5 touchdowns. That would be nice. Maybe we could see Devin Singletary rush for those 100 yards. That would be nice. Actually, I do have a sidebar stat for Josh Allen. I guess anytime he's thrown 35 times or more in a game this year, the Bills are 3-5. So that's kind of interesting. So maybe we don't want him to throw a ton, but put up the yards.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's my key. I think you can't overlook them, first off. Second off, let's get a good, convincing win. I don't want any of this close scoring game. We should be able to beat on paper, we should beat this team by a landslide. So let's get a nice win. Let's head into the playoffs with some confidence, control what we can control, get this win, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm just looking at Big L's prediction. He's predicting Miami beats the Pats. I wish that game would have been this morning, right? Or the early game. Yeah. I wish we would have had some idea, but that's good. Like you said, let's put that aside, not even think about that game and just win it outright. Not even have to hope for help. Just win it outright, have a great game, carrying us into the playoffs. Totally agree with you on all those points there. And again, so like I said, no post game today. You'll see us maybe in the middle of the week, but if not, you'll see us next week. Whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, I don't know.
Maybe it's a Monday. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I actually have a coworker who I went into the office on Friday, and he's a Jets fan, and he and I made a little bet at the beginning of the year.
Nice.
He's like, "I bet you guys don't beat us both times." I'm like, "Oh my god, this was early. This is before the season started."
Wow.
I'm like, "I'll take that bet all day. We will sweep the series." This year, and we have a lunch on the line. Now I saw him on Friday, and he's like, "Guess where I'm going next week?" I said, "Where?" He goes. He pointed at. I had my Bills jacket on. He says, "I'm going to Buffalo for the playoff game." He's like, I don't know whether it's Saturday or Sunday. He's going to fly in. His brother apparently is a Colt fan, and they're hoping that it plays out with the Colts from the Buffalo. There's some things that could happen that can, if things play out right,
Right.
that could
Yeah.
potentially happen. But
I don't want to play the Colts. I do not want to play the Colts in the playoffs.
Exactly.
No.
That's a scary team for us.
Let someone else handle them. Let Cincy or someone else deal with them. I don't want to deal with the Colts.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I did ask him, like, what team are you going to be pulling for? Your brother, okay, if he's playing for the Colts, he's like, I'm going to be pulling for the Bills. So he does have some Bills love in him, which is good to hear. But
Love it.
he was like all excited to tell me that information. I'm like, well, if you don't want those tickets, let me know. But there's so many options here. Do you want to bring off the playoff picture real quick? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about some possibilities since we're not going to have a post-game show. Let me bring that up as well. Let's see here. There was, I think NFL.com had a nice one up there.
Well, the Chiefs, that game yesterday kind of stopped us from getting that 2 seed, unfortunately.
Right.
That is out of the question. I know we can still potentially get the 3 seed.
Yep.
But we need a couple things to happen with that. We need the Titans to lose, obviously. Or no, actually, I don't think that matters anymore.
No, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that doesn't matter anymore because they have the 1 seed no matter what now.
No, they have to win.
Unless they lose. No, if they lose, then the Chiefs get it. That's right. I was going to say, yes.
So they have to win. They're playing the Texans. They should be, Texas has been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks. But
Davis Mills been playing really well lately, yeah.
So that's a tough one for them. I mean, not a tough one. I'm sorry. They should be able to cover that one. Now, the Bengals is the only place we can move up, Jake. So if the Bengals lose and we win, we move to number 3. The Bengals do play the Browns. Now, again, I mentioned this earlier. The Bengals are not playing Burrow, their QB. He's got a banged up knee. And I think the Browns also. I'm not sure if Baker's playing.
Case Keenum. Case Keenum's going to play for the Browns.
Yeah. We got backup quarterback against backup quarterback. Browns they just not lived up to what everyone expected this year. But you never know. Maybe they'll bring us not a Christmas present, an early New Year's present. But let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's assume that would we want to move up to the 3 spot? So because the 3 spot would be playing right now as it stands. Let's see, the 3 spot would play. So in the hunt. So first of all, the top 5 are the Chiefs, Titans, Bengals, Bills, and Patriots. Then you got the Colts and the Chargers. So if it finished today, the way it is right now,
be playing the Pats.
The Chargers would be playing the number 2 seed, whoever it is. And I got to say this, I'm kind of pulling for the Titans. Oh, you turned into the Hulk there. Let me fix that real quick. We got the Hulk with us. I'm sorry I let that secret out of the bag that you had that superpower, and now everybody knows. But let me bring that up real quick again here. So let's go back to the playoff picture. So if it was to end today, and again, I think I was starting to say it, I kind of want the Titans to win. Why? I do not want the Chiefs to be the number 1 seed. I do not want them to be the number 1 seed. I want them going on the road, and that is why I'd rather have the Titans as the number 1 seed versus the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are a better team than the Titans, and I don't want them having the home field against everybody.
I can get behind that, yeah.
And let's see here. And so if it was to end today, you'd probably have the Chargers would be going to play the number 2 seed, whoever that ends up to be. So if that's the Chiefs, that's who they're going to play. The Bengals would be going up against the Colts, and the Bills would be playing the Patriots. So honestly, I'd rather play the Patriots than
I would too.
The Colts, right? So not sure we want to move up to that number 3 spot, but we definitely want
to. I know, but you know what? You got to win the game. You can't play like that, But yes, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that's the last team I want to see in the playoffs is the Colts because that run game is just ridiculous. So hopefully, since he wins today, they beat the Browns. I think they can. Brandon Allen, solid quarterback. He's got some starting experience, although Case Keenum's done some nice things. I mean, he really has. He's got some good moments in his career. The Minneapolis Miracle with Stephon Diggs, our guy, against the Saints. That was 3 years ago now? Holy crap. But so we'll see.
They have a great run game. Their running game's still very solid on the Cleveland side of things.
They still have Nick Chubb. You still have Dearness Johnson, who's pretty solid too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's see here. So my son, so there's still some teams on the bubble. They're going to need, obviously, everyone that we're talking about here. A lot of teams to lose, but you got the Raiders on the bubble. Steelers still have an outside chance. and the Ravens. So that's why Jonah's getting set up for the Ravens game. Again, he has to. Everyone ahead of him has to lose pretty much for them to get in. So interesting there, right? I mean,
the Jags have to lose. Yeah, I think it's the Jags have to beat the Colts. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with
so
that.
He kind of knows. He can already expect them not to make it. It's a bummer because the Ravens were looking very promising until Lamar got hurt. They've been on like a 4 or 5 game slide, and probably not going to make it. Surprised to see the Steelers. Steelers could get in there. Watch out, Big Ben. We'll see. Of course,
again, a lot of stuff has to happen with that one too.
Well, the interesting thing for the Raiders, this is probably one of the biggest games of the week. They play the Chargers.
If they tie,
if they beat the Chargers, I believe they have the edge.
They would. I believe they would. Right. Yes.
If they're still in the bubble and that's who they're playing, I'm assuming that they jump into that 7 seed. So big game. And
you know what's interesting though, if the I was saying tonight, if the Chargers and Raiders, if they tie, I think they can both. And this is if the Colts lose too. So the Colts would have to lose the Jags. But if the Raiders and Chargers tie tonight, they'd both be in if the Colts lost to the Jags, which is crazy. So, and then I think at that point you have to have the conversation. I don't think there should be ties anyway as it is, but you're definitely having the conversation like, oh my gosh, like, do we get rid of ties now? Because if this actually happens, then that's a ridiculous way to get in. And I'm sure you're going to hear it from fans and fan bases across the whole country. I mean, it's going to be something definitely to discuss. But that's an extreme case. We'll see if it actually happens. I doubt it does. But if it did, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, and it'd be, let's say I know we were saying we don't want to have to face Colts, and I don't, but if we did, I mean, I've seen it in the years past where a team has whooped somebody the first time they played them and then got beat the second time. So I think the Bills would definitely come more prepared for that game, and the goal would be to get up early. We weren't able to score or move against their defense in that game. They ran all over us. You could argue that we were missing a couple players, but I'm not going to say that because everyone's missing players in these games. So, yeah, it would be... We might have to play them at some point down the line. I would just like to not have to play them the first week of the playoffs.
Right.
But let the best team win. That's how it's going to play out. So interesting. I mean, I think I don't know. I don't think the 3 or 4 spot gives us any advantage other than maybe that first week not having to play the Colts. So
do you like the 17 playoffs format?
Yes, I do. Actually, I'm a fan of it for sure. I like it
because I didn't like it at first. It's starting to grow on me a little bit, but I was not a fan of it. I think it does make that bye week a little more meaningful because now only one team gets a first round bye instead of the 2 teams.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes that part of it a little bit more important. I am not a fan of the 17 game schedule. I do not like it at all, Mike. I just the numbering like 11 and 6. Ew, I don't like that. I like the 16 game schedule. They haven't changed it since 78. Just leave it. Like, there's no sense to add an extra regular season game. I think a lot of players were not in favor of it either. I don't like the numbers. I'm a traditionalist. I'm stupid with that stuff, but I just can't get my mind wrapped around it that it's a 17 game season. I just don't like it.
It screws
and then
up
stats and stuff
it
too.
Screws up all the records, right? All the stats.
Yeah.
You have to put.
And I know a lot of guys miss games. Yeah, but still, and I know there's the conversation too about OJ with his 2,000-yard season in 14 games.
Yeah.
Yes, but listen, it was 1978 when they switched it to a 16 game season. That was when the modern NFL was still like developing. So I'm gonna just totally write that off. I think. Why I don't know. And if you're going to change it, at least make it an even number. 17 is just the only good thing about 17 is Josh Allen. I mean, come on. Yeah. But anyways, that's just that's a sidebar, 2 cents for me.
Yeah, so
I've been saying sidebar a lot today.
I'm glad I went into that, Antonio. I didn't see like who you guys want to face. Now you kind of know. We're in agreement with you. Yeah, don't want to see the Colts, but if we have to, we have to, and we should be able to beat, want to be the best team. We might have to face them later on. They are a dangerous team. I will say early on when Tony, Rick, and Chris, they did this AFC show over under, and they did a show on the NFC as well. When they talked about the Colts, I think it was Tony, or was he talking about Tennessee? But he liked teams that had good running games. He says those type of teams are built for the playoffs. So the Colts are that type of team. And
Yeah.
we already know. We've seen what they can do. But yeah, I'm thinking the 3 or 4 seed for us really doesn't matter, other than maybe not having the game against the Colts the first week. See our Patriots again. Who wins the rubber match, as they would say? Best 2 out of 3.
That's right. That's right. A little redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Uncle Jay says, but more football. I know it's more football, but it just, I don't know. I get it. I understand that, but I don't know. I don't like the 17 games. I'm just not a fan of it. Just not a fan.
Yeah, and then I mean, let's see here. Now the other thing about the 4 seed, which you could be considering here, is that assuming all the top seeds win, we would be playing in Tennessee.
Yeah.
If Tennessee wins and they're the top seed, and we get past our first round, and all those top 4 seeds win, we're now going to Tennessee, and then the Bengals, who just beat the Chiefs, are playing the Chiefs again, but this time in KC. So it'd be interesting as well.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
and I don't even want to think about a Bills loss and what happens, because then we go down to what, the 5th seed?
I'm not sure where we fall. I think it's going to depend on the other games. But
I mean, it's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if it did happen,
right,
that would be interesting.
And so if that second week happens again, I'd rather play a Tennessee team with, again, I'm not sure what Derrick Henry's status is. I think
so he was designated to return this week.
Okay.
So I think he has like a 21-day window pretty much now where, he's got to, slowly but surely work his way back up. But that gives him basically 3 weeks.
Yeah, if they're the top seed, so they'll get the bye next week, and then they'll have the following week where they'll be hosting a game.
Right.
But so a lot of things still to be determined, be interesting. And again, it looks like we would be playing the Patriots right now. We win that game, we're going to go play the top seed, whoever that is, if they win their game. Actually, if we were to win our game, all 4, we're automatically going, because the top seed has the bye week next week. So interesting stuff. We'll know more after these games play out. But let's win today's game. Let's win the AFC East. And then all this stuff will play out as it's going to. So
that's right. And I misspoke earlier. I was just thinking about this. I'm talking about Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson. We're talking about the Bengals getting the win against the Browns, because we want them to face Cincy, We don't want to face the Colts. We want Cincy to face the Colts. Joe Mixon, yes, because you were talking about the run game. They still have the run game. Brandon Allen's going to be the quarterback. Yeah, they still have Joe Mixon. I'm not sure who's going to be even active in that game. I don't know if Jamar Chase is playing. I'm not sure if T. Higgins is going to be playing too. So that's definitely one to monitor.
Yeah, I think I'm not even sure Mixon is playing. I was talking more of the running game on the Cleveland side. They have one of the best running games.
Okay, so you were, because I was like, I'm thinking
was.
about this. We want Cincy to win. Why am I talking about the? Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So
I'm all over the place.
All right. Well, we were closing things out, but I thought, it'd be kind of good to talk about, because we aren't going to have a post game show, and we won't see you. We don't know if we'll see you in the middle of the week. We hope we will, but we don't know. If not, we'll see you definitely on the pregame show next week, which we're super excited about. At least we know one thing we do know: we're in the playoffs.
We're in, baby.
We're in. So anything can happen when you're in. And y'all, I want to say thank you to everybody for who's in the channel today and who supported us all year long. Let's keep it going. Let's hopefully, another 4 or 5 weeks. Let's take this thing all the way to the end. But no matter what happens, I want to thank every one of you. It's been super, super great to have all you guys interacting. So appreciate that. Jake, I know you already gave your final thoughts, so let's go get this win. Let's go enjoy the 1 o'clock for you, the 10 o'clock games for me. I will say this: if you're into DraftKings, Brady also has another thing that he has to go for to get a bonus check as well. So I expect them to have a big game. So keep an eye on that, and check there. If you just do a simple Google search, who are the players that have bonuses on the line this week? Those are typically good guys you want to start in DraftKings lineup, because, like I said, I want to have, like we talked, Diggs is going to be in my lineup. Absolutely. He's going to at least get 6 catches, probably more. And I'm hoping he lives up to your bold prediction. All right.
I do too.
We'll talk soon, everybody. Take care.
All right.
Bye
Go
now.
Bills.